Gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome you all to this important validation meeting of the Nigeria Oil Palm Development Strategy. Let me begin by appreciating the presence of all our distinguished stakeholders here today. The representatives of government institutions, research bodies, commodity associations, private sector operators, development partners, consultants, and other critical actors in the oil palm value chain.
Identify the technical gaps and challenges confronting the oil palm industry and to recommend policy actions, programs, and interventions that will unlock the immense potentials of the sector.
I encourage all participants to engage openly, constructively, and patriotically, so that together we can produce a final document that will truly serve as a roadmap for the transformation of Nigeria's oil palm industry. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to again warmly welcome you all and wish all of us a fruitful and successful deliberation. Thank you for your attention, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
We believe that closer collaboration among producing countries is essential to address common challenges, strengthen resilience, and ensure a fair and balanced global vegetable.
Palm oil is the most important oil in the world. Then food for man and for industrial purposes. Our Honorable Ambassador for Indonesia will tell us here that by July 1st, his country will do what they call the 50. They are going to apply 50% of palm oil into the aviation fuel.
For agriculture, Permanent Secretary, distinguished guests. I haven't heard the previous speakers. I thought I was at the excuse. I almost wanted to tell the minister, please let me dodge this exposure. The expertise and the wisdom and the counsel from the previous speakers have almost captured entirely the fact or the essential points on the oil palm aspiration by individual Nigerians, either by each of us in our villages who plant one or two around our houses in our farms for domestic consumption, or boiling it to give our kids who want to test on the sumptuousness of the little fruits when you add on salt to it, or those that have invested resources in it to make a fortune for themselves and to make sure Nigeria is not missing in the value chain on the oil palm production in the world.
Our story ourselves, ideas, collaborations, partnerships, and all that has given birth to the document, the 72-page document we have today. And we are so happy. As the leader of the smallholders in Nigeria, I feel so proud and happy that for the first time, we have a leadership in a ministry who thinks about the smallest, the littles of the people. Because in democracy, small thing matters. And I keep saying it, like they say in Indonesia, that smallholders are not less important. So, thank you for making us believe that we are important. Our story has been heard, and it has been written down in a document, and not just our own story as smallholders. The big players have told their story and all that. I want to also appreciate the big players in the industry, the members of POFON, for the sacrifice to make sure that we do this. The sponsorship of this program is mostly from POFON members, and they did not say, no, we are not the only players, but they did this. Thank you very much to POFON, thank you to the ministry, thank you so much for being here.
holds a special place in Nigeria's agricultural history. Long before the rise of petroleum, palm oil and palm kernel were among the major produce that supported our economy. They sustained livelihoods, drive our commerce, supported local industries, and contributed meaningfully to the national revenue.
This is why the development of a clear and practical national policy and strategy is not just important, but very, very timely. And I want to commend all of you that have contributed to this effort. As a follow-up to our earlier commitment and providing the desired direction to steer the agricultural and food security sector towards the attainment of the key priorities of Mr. President's renewable agenda, a technical working group chaired by the Director of Planning and Policy Coordination was constituted in July 2024 to develop a comprehensive strategy for growth and development of the Nigerian oil palm industry. I want to use this opportunity to commend the technical working group for the seriousness, technical depth, and consultations that have come into this work. And as at the time we were taking this, it was also knowledge or known to us that even the players in the sector were seeing themselves as competitors. But based on our intervention, those who do not sit on the same table are now sitting on the same table, talking the same subject, because the oil palm remains the oil palm, irrespective of whatever name you have given yourself as stakeholders around that same plan. What is important is that the plan wants to bring progress to Nigeria. So if you come with my kind of tap, you are welcome. And as you can see, we have a Royal Highness working assiduously to support this aspiration. Your Highness, thank you very much for what you are doing. As we validate this strategy today, we must ensure that it responds to the realities of the sector and provide practical answers to the challenges we face. It must address the issue of productivity. Let me take this again. It must address the issue of productivity. And so far, in the presentation I've seen, I know the devil they say is in the details. So I've not seen the details yet, but to say that you have not flagged up productivity as a key. And that was it. Because Nigeria's bane in most of our crop is the yield gap. And yield gap is what measures your productivity. If another country is giving you 5 tons per hectare of a commodity and you are getting 1 or 1.2, I don't see how you can shout and the person will even listen to you. I hope my point is clear. So we need to look at this very critically. In most instances, it's not about even the variety. I think it's about and of course you want to look at what is the maturity period. Is it 3 years that we must pay attention to? And as it is, we must strengthen our seed and nursery systems and stop the quacks, because the quacks are doing a lot of trouble. National Seed Council overheard the introduction. Okay, Party will thank you very much for coming. And I must say that the National Seed Council is also creating very powerful innovations that will help to sanitize the seed industry. And they are working with people. And I want to assure you that what I know that is in the works, we guarantee that we need to look at. If you say you are selling oil palm seedlings, you must be able to also provide traceability. It's not from the market that we should talk about traceability also. Even the planting material itself should be traced. Who is the mother of this planting material? Can you show us the mother and the father? Is it not what we should be asking? Or did it fall from heaven? No. If you went to the groove and the forest and you don't decide to carry anything and come and start giving people, at the end of the day, the thing will grow and then you will say, oh, this one are clean palms. It's a lot of trouble. So we just need to do the needful. And I know NIFO needs that attention. And I'll tell you the story at the end of the day on NIFO. In addition, the strategy must place smallholder farmers at the center. This is because If that is the foundation, then we must strengthen the foundation. And it is for the foundation that you should be able to move. If you have a foundation that can take 100 stories, the first story will come on the same foundation. But the 100 floor also will come on the same foundation. But can you jump to the 100th floor when you've ignored the first floor? It's not possible. So I think we should look at that wisdom. And every time we speak, we say the agricultural sector, we have smallholder farmers. They represent 70%. Some will say 65%. But are you giving the same 65% energy and effort to those people? I think that is what we must anchor. And I believe one of the things we should also look at, the big players will be happy if on their own plantation they have additional 1,000 farmers with half hectares that meet their standard. Those countries who say how small, that's what they do. So that by the time you start moving around the various farms, you will not be wondering, is it not the same farm I just left? No, it's because the standard is the same. They plant the same day. Everywhere you move to is the same height. Because they are following the same protocol, the same standard. So we have to pay attention to all of these things. And I know the industry players will be more than happy. Because for them, what is important is the economy of scale. And when the economy of scale works for them, you have installed capacity of maybe 100 tons per day, and you are hardly able to get 30 tons. And yet you have to own the same system. Even from the economy, poor economic knowledge, you know, say that man is losing. Isn't it? So we need to really work out the strategy to bring everybody. Everybody has to be aware. And I know it is doable. If they are left behind, the sector cannot grow in a meaningful and inclusive way. We must therefore focus on empowering smallholder farmers with improved savings, extension services, access to finance, agricultural support, processing facilities, market access, and technical training. This transformation must be inclusive. It must create opportunity not just for large investors, but also for rural farmers, women, youth, the physically challenged, and everybody. We must modernize processing and improve value addition. A major challenge in the sector today is the widespread use of outdated and inefficient processing systems. This reduces oil extraction rates, affects quality, and leads to losses across the value chain. We must invest in modern mills, better processing technologies, quality assurance system, and stronger downstream industrial linkages. We must move from low-value production to higher-value processing and manufacturing. And I know the current, profit being declared by Okomo and Presco is a testament to the fact that there is growth. On good authority, in the last few years, I think there has been some level of growth in the oil palm sector of Nigeria. And thanks to these two great players, thanks for the innovation you are bringing, and for even giving confidence to communities that before used to chase the people who are having those systems around them, because that used to be the story. And it shows that you are being inclusive and you are also being fair in your dealings with your communities. Government is creating an enabling environment to encourage responsible investment and building partnerships to scale results in agribusiness. And I want to say that the strategy must also support research, innovation, and capacity development. No sector grows sustainably without science and knowledge. We need stronger collaboration among research institutions, universities, extension systems, and private innovators. We need better solutions in planting materials, agronomy, climate adaptation, pest and disease control. I'm happy that the strategy has told us the intent to bring in all these new, digital technologies that support, seamless production, the, AI, the blockchains, the Internet of Things, and all the other things. So it's good. In terms of financing, we must take financing also very seriously. And the kind of transformation we seek in this sector will require significant investment. And always I do say that farm infrastructure is where the competition advantage lies. The situation where, as a farmer, you have to become the NEPA of your own operation, the Federal Ministry of Works of your own operation. You have to become the IG of your own system. You have to, and so on and so forth. Honestly, it's not sustainable. And that's why in doing all of these things, we need to begin to open up how we engage. And I think ordinarily, for example, as we are doing this, it's now down on me as I said this, that for example, we should have also brought in our security formations to witness and be part of this kind of strategic thinking. For example, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps are in charge of maintaining critical national assets. Now, any industrial complex that pay tax, employ people, support the growth of other value chain services should be seen as a critical national asset. And so we should begin to talk about all of these things and get some of these people to understand the need for them to also, build their searchlight on such kind of system. To build competitiveness sustainably, we must also remain central to our vision. The future of palm oil globally will be shaped not only by volume, but by sustainability, traceability, and environmental responsibility. Nigeria must position itself as a producer of responsibly grown and sustainably processed palm oil. This means promoting climate smart practices, better land use, reduced waste, stronger environmental safeguards, and inclusive production systems that are productive. And productivity is not the watchword. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we work to reposition the sector, Nigeria also recognizes the importance of international cooperation. Following discussions with the leadership of the Council of Palm Oil Producing Countries, CIPOC, on 15th of July 2024, and based on earlier requests for the Council, we have directed Nigeria's participation as an observer country in order to foster closer collaboration and stronger interaction within the organization and the global market. The objectives of this organization are clear and relevant. It is a platform that promotes sustainable palm oil production and trade, strengthening collaboration among producing countries, and protect the interests of producers in the global space. Nigeria sees value in this engagement. As a country working to revitalize its oil palm industry, we are keen to learn, to share, and to collaborate. We are interested in practical partnerships that can help us strengthen the sector and accelerate progress. Accordingly, the statement you have made earlier is noted, and we are definitely going to take the process forward, hoping to one day sit among those producing countries. Let me conclude this keynote address by appreciating all those who have contributed to the development of this strategy. I thank the technical working group under the chairmanship of Alhaji Ibrahim Tenibu, Director of Policy and Planning and Policy Coordination of the Ministry. I also want to thank community associations, our institutional partners, the private sector, farmers organizations, development partners, and our international collaborators, including the CIPOC. Your efforts are deeply appreciated. I also want to reaffirm that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security remains fully committed to driving all aspects of all palm industry development in Nigeria in order to achieve the best possible outcomes for our people and our economy. Today's validation is a pivotal moment. The input you provide will sharpen the strategy, ensuring it is practical, implementable, and responsive to the realities on the ground. What follows must be disciplined implementation with transparent accountability, clear timelines, measurable indicators, and regular public reporting. The objective of this strategy is straightforward: to restore productivity and competitiveness in a way that is inclusive, environmentally responsible, and economically transformative. Most importantly, it is expected to help us move from aspiration to action. On this note, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor and privilege to formally declare this validation meeting of the Nigerian Oil Palm Policy and Strategy Development Workshop. Thank you, and God bless the federal government. Before I take my seat, thank you very much. Before I take my seat, let me say this. Role allocation. Please, I would like you to take a look at the network of actors that are already in. If there is anybody missing, please don't hesitate, ensure they are included. Because one of the things that will enable us to succeed is when everybody sees this catch-up, whether they are here or not. The moment you know they have a critical role to play, let them be brought on board. And I think that is the way in which they will respect the fact that you care for them and you know they can play a critical role. So with this, I thank you and I look forward to getting back the output of today's engagement. And I assure you, we're not going to keep it in the shed, like somebody has said before. The crop of leadership that the president has put in place today are the ones that are claiming the table. We don't want anything on the table. Let it come to the front. Nigerians are not going to eat things in the table. They want to see progress and they want to see results. And that is why we are saying thanks to President Bola Tinubu. The dry well in the United is beginning to gush water. Thank you very much.
For performing the
than before. Section 5, policy structure and implementation now. Yes, even in the south, know that land is becoming unavailable, but we have land that are not productive. They are available but not productive because the owners are hanging on to them, speculatively, and I think this policy will seek to eliminate that one. If you are acquiring land for oil palm purposes, as soon as you finish your land acquisition, you must be able to commence plantation development. Okay? Yes, to remove the issue of doubt and credibility in terms of sourcing of type of material, private multiplication, PPP will have to come in place so that NIFO can concentrate on their research, and for seed multiplication, we should have certified seed companies that will now take the material from NIFO and multiply and make available for offtake. Mechanization, more importantly here, motorized pruners and pole cutters, these are available now, and I know that smallholders are already using some of these. Mini tractors, solar power irrigation for savanna zones, and making efficient artisanal means. Well, I think at the end of the day, we will have to eliminate that, but it will not be forceful or by fear. But when smallholders themselves begin to see that they could not afford the modern means, but if we are able to get through industrial parks, investors in modern mills, then smallholders will be aggregated to feed the industrial mills in their clusters, so that as much as possible of the oil in the seed is taken out of the seed. Okay, and for our mill development and establishment, though we are trying to get partnership and assistance of existing oil palm countries like Indonesia and Malaysia, but it will not mean importing their equipment 100%. The part of mill construction that can be done locally will have to be done locally with the materials sourced locally. So the policy is proposing 40 to 60% local content for such machinery requirement. And smallholder empowerment models to provide support to smallholders at the homestead level or household level from 1 to 5 hectares, and then independent smallholders that would have 5 to 50 hectares. What is important is for them to have guaranteed uptake through allocation agreement, so that when they harvest, they can be able to process and get optimum value and returns for their fruits instead of losing to inefficient processing equipment. Political risk, market risk, and security risks. I hope already, I hope that the Honorable Minister of State will live up to his words, agree that any investor that is putting in place thousands of hectares of oil palm plantation, that is employing thousands of people and providing corporate social responsibility, okay, altogether should be considered a national asset that that should be secured by government. But rapporteurs, please let's add this into the policy proposition, and I hope case through. Okay, so thank you. It's coming up so soon, but I tell you, no slides after this. So I thank you again for listening. Thank you. Thank you.
To be as brief as possible, I assure you there are not going to be any slides, because Farmers Development Services has already covered just about everything comprehensively regarding the palm oil policy and even the road to sustainability and export. Once again, I want to thank the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security for the opportunity to present this document. From my perspective, both as chairman of the Plantation Owners Forum of Nigeria and as an operator managing thousands of hectares, I can say with confidence that the direction outlined in this policy is the right one. The emphasis on a hybrid production model integrating estates and smallholders, improved planting materials and productivity targets, value chain development and processing, and sustainability aligned with global standards all reflect the key pillars required to unlock Nigeria's palm oil potential. However, as we move from policy design to implementation, it is important that we anchor this ambition in the realities of the field. Oil palm is a long-term agricultural investment. To develop a single hectare from land preparation through to early production requires approximately $4,000 to $5,000 per hectare, and a timeline of 4 to 5 years to first meaningful harvest, with full production only achieved around year 8. This biological reality is critical, and therefore the success of this policy will depend on how effectively we align land access, financing structures, and infrastructure with this long-term cycle. In terms of productivity, on older plantations such as ours, we are currently achieving yields of approximately 7 tons of FFB per hectare, largely due to the age of the trees. However, with our new plantings at optimal maturity, we expect to achieve a minimum of 17 to 20 tons per hectare. This clearly demonstrates that Nigeria has the capacity to significantly increase output with the right inputs, planting materials, and practices applied at scale. Across the industry, through POFON, we consistently observe a few key realities. 1, labor constraints, infrastructural limitations, limited access to high-quality inputs, and most importantly, access to patient long-term capital. At the same time, we estimate that only about 20% of the industry is currently operating at efficient, scalable levels, while approximately 80%, largely driven by smallholders, is operating below its full potential. This makes the policy's focus on smallholder inclusion both necessary and important. However, from experience, one factor that must be carefully managed is trust and structure within the smallholder ecosystem. There is often a disconnect between smallholders, larger estates, and off-takers. Bridging this through structured outgrow models.
Chain so that it is not fragmented. It should not be broken. One should be able to move from one to the other seamlessly. In many cases, our farmers in Nigeria, the market is so volatile because there is no system in place. We do not have any system in place that will manage even what is produced. So we should think seriously about that. Because the fragmented supply chain makes it difficult for you to say, this is what we are going to produce this month, this is available for sale. So before, in the olden days, we had something like Palm Produce Board. When Palm Produce Board was available, you can, if you have an industry, you can determine the volume you can do in 1 month because there are steady supply of the raw material from Palm Produce Board. But now the chain is fragmented. Nobody knows, nobody can say, this is the quantity I will produce, this is the market where I will sell it. So we sincerely
and environmental sustainability, social and environmental sustainability, unlocking Nigeria's palm oil potential. And I think there's something I've noticed here that we've spoken a lot about this policy in terms of how it relates to environment and social sustainability of the oil palm landscape. And we have spoken a lot. I was just speaking with my colleague. I said there is nothing more to say again because this policy already addresses it. This policy already speaks loudly and succinctly about the reason for us to look at the impact of our oil power production on the environment and of course on the social livelihood of oil palm industry in Nigeria. I want you to see this. This is a forest landscape. The drone footage was taken in the 80s. But if you go to this forest landscape here in Nigeria, if you go to this forest landscape, the last baseline study IGH did for this forest landscape, we saw that we have less than 17% of forest trees here. In other words, you can count the number of trees that are on this forest landscape. So what is happening? The place has been largely degraded by human activities, by several other activities. The government, in their own wisdom, now said, oh, instead of leaving this place heavily degraded like this, can we afforest that area with oil palm? And they decide to give companies concession so that they can have oil palm concessions instead to bring back life into this forest landscape.
The Director ED of NIFO, Dr. Good, for the education. I have continually been embarrassed by that statement, and I hope that given the large number of stakeholders that we have today, some of us now have the facts. None of us here will come out tomorrow again to say, I came here to collect seedling. So we should need to collect the seedling, but the seed
Oh, yeah, nothing can be further from the truth. Okay, thank you for that elucidation. Secondly, as a matter of enlightenment too, okay, we just founded the Incorporated Society of Planters in Nigeria, which we drew from Malaysia. Malaysia has their own Incorporated Society of Planters, which is over 100 years old, and the major crop that they focus on is oil palm and other. So they have very rich history of oil palm, maybe more than us, or perhaps more documented than us. So thank you very much. Most of the interventions we had come in forms of comments, and we have taken good notes of the comments. The only one that I took as questions that I may have to address are the ones that you also have helped to address, and I believe that the interventionists will not have access to the draft report. I would advise that for all participants here today, the soft copy of the draft report should also be circulated to all participants so they can also have access to it. If you couldn't access it, I think it's more or less due to your own incapability to handle PDF documents. But most capable stakeholders were able to do the necessary conversion to access the scanned document to them, and they were able to access the document. However, my advice is that the soft copies will be distributed.
The money component was there, and the issue of inclusiveness is there. You made mention about the likely benefit of this strategy. You made mention of job employment. You made mention of likelihood improvement of the people, the rural people, the farmers, and other things. So they are captured, but if you want more, you can put it in writing and hand over to us. We'll look at it again and see where there are gaps so that we fill it. Thank you very much. Yeah, the ED NAFO.
It is visionary, but also grounded in clear policy direction. Therefore, we have validated the policy document by carefully examining it, strengthening it where necessary, with our comments, refine its targets and implementation mechanism, and ensure that the final policy is technically sound, socially inclusive, environmentally responsible, and fully implementable. Ladies and gentlemen, I respectively submit this speaker to this August gathering in good faith. Thank you.
I invite the rapporteurs to give us a brief synopsis of what it is. How many minutes? 2, 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
Thereafter, we'll invite the Director, Federal Department of Agriculture, the department that is driving this value chain, to give us closing remarks. Thank you. Subject to those observations and inputs you make going forward. We have also agreed that we will castigate this at the various levels of governance, from the local government to state government, even at the federal level, at the level of the Governors Forum, the National Economic Council, and perhaps the Federal Executive Council. The ministers, by implication, the president, have interest in this value chain. And we want to be like Malaysia and Indonesia, even go beyond it. So do we accept that we have validated this document? Yes. Thank you very much. So on this note, I will invite the Director, Federal Department of Agriculture and Food Security for the...
Thank you, my Director. Good evening, my name is Ajayi Olutowaka, Deputy Director, Tree Crops, presenting this closing remarks on behalf of the Director, Federal Department of Agriculture, Mr. Bukar Musa. Distinguished participants and guests, this validation meeting has been truly insightful. As we conclude this meeting, I express my sincere gratitude to all esteemed participants, including our Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Ali Sabi, Cabinet Secretary, Federal Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Engineer Marcus Ogunbiyi, representative of Honorable Minister of State for Industry, Federal Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, ambassadors, my directors here present, Chairman Oil Palm Growers Association of Nigeria, Council of Oil Palm Producing Countries, all stakeholders in the oil palm value chain, development partners, captains of industry, and highly esteemed members of the press. I sincerely wish to advise stakeholders in the oil palm sector to capitalize on the momentum and insights gained so as to propel Nigeria's oil palm sector forward. Together we'll enhance productivity, promote sustainability, and improve livelihood. Director of Planning and Policy Coordination, Alhaji Ibrahim Tanimu, who doubles as the chairman of the Technical Working Group, and his team for this great effort. Also, sincere appreciation to Dr. Fatai Afolabi for a successful oil palm policy development strategy. Other participants are well recognized for their dedication. Let's drive a thriving oil palm industry that benefits our nation. Finally, we wish all participants and stakeholders safe travels back home. Thank you very much, and God bless.